Today, folks, as somebody who invests for the most part in index funds, there are rare opportunities that present themselves for short-term trades. And what I define as a short-term trade is somewhere between 6 to 12 months, and that has finally presented itself to be the appropriate time for an investment in Take-Two Interactive. This is a stock that I recently just started picking up as the parent company of Rockstar Games, the company that is going to be releasing Grand Theft Auto 6, and I need to talk about it as a video game nerd who primarily plays VR these days. I love VR games. I play them 3 or 4 days a week, keeps me hyper in shape, but I do recognize that this profound piece of media is likely to destroy records unlike anything we've seen in the past. So if you're on a path to financial independence, if you damn well one day want to retire early, or you want to join me on these ridiculous trades, or just watch me, not as financial advice, of course, consider subscribing, hitting that like button, letting me know what you think in that comment section below, because I did pick up only 21 shares, and for the scale of my wealth, I really feel like this is an incremental starter position that I'd like to scale at least somewhere between 10 to 20K at the bare minimum, because I feel like the hype that this game is about to bring upon us is going to be absolutely ridiculous. And I got even more excited after listening to the recent earnings call, at which the stock actually popped off to a new all-time high. And I really don't recommend buying stocks at all-time highs, but I'm looking at the market cap value, and this isn't a stock where I would directly follow the fundamentals, because you're going to say it's overvalued, but we'll talk about the fundamentals in a moment. First and foremost, when it comes to search traffic, GTA 6 is barely on the radar, with the exception of the records it broke on YouTube when they launched the trailer back in 2023. But right now, because everybody is still playing GTA 5 and they're releasing some new updates and gameplay for GTA 5, there's been some little hiccups of, further search results for those specific terms of GTA 5 versus GTA 6. So we're barely on the radar for this. When it comes to Take-Two stock, after the recent earnings, I think we're seeing a lot more of a tick up of the excitement of the approach of GTA 6 plus interactive games has been getting a lot of hype and a lot of growth from other vectors of what they're releasing, which again we'll talk about in a moment. But Take-Two Interactive stock is finally getting some heat, some attention. I've seen a few mentions on Reddit, but nothing to the extreme where I feel like it's reached parity or even has come close to the radar of many investors out there. But I promise you, when this hits reality, I think it's going to slap people so far upside the head that this stock has the real potential to go probably somewhere between $50 and $100 billion at minimum. And I want to break down where I kind of come up with that math. First and foremost, you have to understand in 2013, when GTA 5 was released, in its first day, the game sold 11 million units, generating $800 million. It was also no surprise that opening week sales were the biggest in gaming history, topping the annual best-selling franchise Call of Duty. In the first 5 days, Grand Theft Auto sold 16 million units, generating $1.15 billion, basically setting records across almost any piece of entertainment ever. And think about this, in 2013, you couldn't download these games. These were not like a quick download and play. Like, you actually had to go out and buy a physical copy, because I bought a physical copy, and because it was too cheap to buy a PlayStation, I told my buddy, I'm going to buy the game, but we're going to play at your house. And we played through the whole story, and I remember it quite vividly, which is insane to think it was over 10 years ago. But my God, between TikTok, social media, everything that is now transformed how we look at media, I am running the math and presuming that this game is going to sell at least 100 million units, at least in the first week. I mean, as of June 2024, it's estimated there's 500 million monthly active gaming users across all platforms and devices, including users of Xbox, Windows, and other devices, right? And if you take a look, I mean, just on PlayStation, which is a bit smaller, they're claiming there's like 116 million monthly active users. I mean, we're talking about a huge demographic that just didn't exist 10 years ago at the touch of a button, right? And if I run some math, just even if 100 million units of this gets sold, and it's estimated to be the most expensively priced game ever, and I'm already seeing gamers say they don't care, they just want a good game, because most games that are coming out suck. A lot of complaints around the new Call of Duty, a lot of complaints about everything, but if this game sells 100 million units, we're talking about $10 billion probably in the first week. Like, when I think about the math on this, like, I can't wrap my head around it, because I'm like, if this thing even bears the fruit of what the game did 10 years ago, and with the hype that I've seen already, I mean, you read into this, right? Like, the franchise alone has sold 440 million units. I think this is going to be disgusting when the next game comes out. And that's just across the entire franchise, right? But over just Grand Theft Auto 5 had 210 million units sold. So even if it can match the 200 million, again, we're talking about almost the entire market cap value of this company in this one game. I just don't think people appreciate the insanity of what could be coming. It reached 1 billion in retail sales faster than any entertainment release in history, and it's the best-selling title of the past 10 years in the US based on both unit and dollar sales, right? And they're still nursing this game for value. Just, it's incredible, right? And I love the joke that, you know, I don't know who needs to hear this, but, you know, we've had enough of this GTA 6 joke. You know, we got X before GTA 6 because I still hear those jokes going on, especially across like News Daddy, a lot of TikTokers out there, which I think is hilarious. The game did drop, you know, beating records as well when it came to releasing the trailer, because basically like music records, when they drop, I mean, even Mr. Beast had a hard time tapping the records. This game, you know, the trailer did 240 million, even though there was already a leak that came out before the trailer, almost in the same week of the trailer release, which was incredible, right? So, I mean, you got to think, even if you get 100 million of these people to buy this game, it's going to be insane. So the company does have a lot coming out. I listened to their earnings and it got me excited enough to want to own the stock today. We'll talk about the numbers here for you nerds that want to dive a little bit deeper into this. But first and foremost, they've got a lot of games coming out this year, right? A lot of popular games like 2K. You know, they've got Grand Theft Auto coming out in the fall, which is what we're primarily playing for. I don't really care for the rest of the games they've been releasing, but they have been growing on these games, right? And I think they have some mobile games too. Words with Friends. They do have quite a few of the most popular mobile games out there. And as a gaming nerd, none of that phases me at all because I'm buying this for a hyper particular trade. And look at the numbers this company's currently doing. They are seeing some favorable growth here. Nothing insane though. I mean, for the 9-month ending year over year from 3.95 billion to 4 billion. You'd look at this as a company that's losing money pretty aggressively here. I mean, their total cost of revenue 1.7, their gross profit at 2.2 billion for the 9-month isn't that bad. I think they're probably trading, if you get the full year, the full 12-month in, you're probably looking at a company that's trading at 10 times gross profit right now, give or take. You know, not even 10 times revenue. So it's not trading as hype as a lot of other companies are, but they don't have the absolutely absurd growth. It looks like they did some refining and were able to increase the gross profit here a bit, which is great. But at the end of the day, the company is still, I think, operating at a $752 million loss, right? So the revenues are starting to come back a little bit. That's getting some excitement. You know, their games are still holding a good footing. But when you look at these numbers, there's nothing great about this company. The net income, absolute garbage. Company with earnings per share that have gone nowhere but down since basically the market started to correct in 2022. Shares outstanding here, guys. The company continues to dilute shareholders. When you look at a company like this, you're probably sitting here just wondering, like, from a fundamental basis, this does not look like a great stock to hold. But I'm telling you right now, and I'm putting my money where my mouth is, sometimes you have to anticipate the future. That is all investing. Value investing is understanding the future value of what the company can produce, right? And I still think Grand Theft Auto is going to be the greatest piece of entertainment to ever hit media, and we haven't seen the impact potential because we only can compare it to what it did 10 years ago. And basically in the first week, those like the numbers that it produced were still insane even for the company's revenues today, right? Like, I mean, what is it producing today? It's producing 1.3 billion. Grand Theft Auto pretty much did that in a week 10 years ago, guys. We're in a whole new spectrum, right? So no matter what I'm anticipating is people are going to wake up to this probably as we get closer to the release date, and we'll see how I trade it come the release. But I honestly think the hype that's going to build into this company is going to be just absolutely disgusting, and it's going to be neat to see when some of the YouTubers I follow start picking it up, because this definitely seems like a social arb trade, more in line with like Dumb Money or some of the other YouTube traders that I watch that are more intrigued by what Reddit's talking about, because this seems like the social arb trade of the year, in my opinion, when this becomes a little bit more popularized. So I still personally feel early, because like I said, I bet you this thing's going to go well beyond 50 to somewhere in the $100 billion range. And I don't think it's going to be a long-term lasting thing because, you know, when these media releases come out, it's a short burst of attention and money, and then it tends to fizzle over time. But that's why I think the trade is relevant now. I've talked about this video and this trade in the past, but now is the time, I think, to actualize it. So we'll see what happens. And you can subscribe if you do not want to follow me into this trade, but want to see how it works out, because obviously there's some great risk here with some market and economic risk in between that we have to idly sit by and pray to God doesn't destroy the stock. But I think there's probably at most 50% downside, like there has been in the past, if that's worst case scenario. But the bullish nature of what I've been hearing on the earnings call, it's sending shivers down my spine. But I'd love to know what you think in that comment section below.